Hi, it's Jeremy, and this is a hopefully helpful video about two-color knitting. In my case, I'm going to pretend that the blue is my background color for my sweater, and that the brownish orange is the dominant color. And I'm going to show you the most common way of doing two-color color work, which is to hold one yarn on one hand and one on the other. I want to start with showing you how to attach the second color because, okay, so you've started your band or your cuff, or this is your body, and you're ready to start your color work section. By the way, don't worry too much about how my needles are. I'm using a technique called magic loop, which I can explain in another video if that's helpful to you. But I want to start with how to attach the new color when you're starting color work. Not everybody does this. Some people just start knitting with it, but I like to anchor it, and that makes it a lot easier for me to grab it. Okay, so I'm going to start by, I threaded it onto, this is my dominant color. I threaded it onto a yarn needle, and I'm just going to put it through that first stitch and toward the back, and I'm just going to pull it down so that the yarn pulls through. You don't need a really long tail, just so that it's out of your way and it won't get confused with the other stuff and it won't pull out. Okay, so this is my dominant color, and I'm going to hold it on the left, and my background color I'm going to hold on the right. And you are a much more experienced thrower than I am, so my throwing will probably look really awkward to you. Okay, anchor my needles, figure out what, okay, here's my right hand. Okay, so I'm going to start with chart 1 on Lars's chart. So do 1, oops, just pulled the wrong yarn. 2, I'm such an awkward thrower, you're going to laugh. 2, and I'm just knitting these first 3 stitches, holding the brown yarn out of my way. Okay, so I've knit the first 3 stitches, and it's time for a brown, and you can see that that brown is just hanging behind my work. It's just there. So I've done my first 3 stitches. Now it's time for a brown. And since you're not a picker, here's how it works. Normally I would just pull it through with my needle, but since you're not too experienced at it, make sure that your right needle is behind it. You can grab onto it with that finger, pull back, and you can see underneath it that you've grabbed that the right needle tip has that brown yarn. Pull it through. You can it'll snug up on its own on your needle. Now I want to show you, oh, am I knitting with my tail yarn? No, I'm not. Good. Okay, I'm going to push this out of the way just so you can have better contrast. You can see that there is, when you knitted with that brown, now you've got that anchored stitch, this is the first stitch where I pulled it down and through. You've got now a strand or a float behind it. And when you pull that first stitch, that first colored stitch, the first brown one, your temptation is, oh, let me pull that really tight and get this all neat. But what happens is that you've got these 3 stitches that then bunch together, and it's going to create a pucker in the front of your work, and you don't want that. So you want to, the most important thing in stranded color work is to keep those strands nice and loose. So I'm going to knit the rest of that first chart repeat awkwardly, and you can laugh at my throwing. 4, 5, oh, sorry, that would be 5 and 6. Let me count my stitches. 2, 4, 6. Okay, that's correct. Now I'm going to start a second repeat of that chart. So 1, oh, I'm so awkward with my right hand. 1, 2, and you can see that as I get farther along with this, there's a longer and longer unused strand of brown coming around. I want to do one more repeat and show you what happens. how many have I done? It's 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm ready for another brown. And you see how far that's traveling. Make sure that your stitches on your right needle are nice and spread out so that this strand doesn't become too long. Here's, okay, put it through, bring it over the needle. Now you can anchor it with that right finger if you want. 4. And see this, oh, I even dropped my blue because it doesn't really matter. See this really long strand? That can get awkward. To keep it the right length, spread these out. 4, 5, 6. Okay, and now we've done 2 repeats of the chart. I'm going to do a second video, and you can see that this float is nice. It's nice and loose, but it's not... Okay, here's too loose, because it's just going to flop, and you're just going to, as if it's a sleeve, you're just going to send a finger through that as you put it on. I snugged it up just enough. It's nice and floppy, you know, nice and loose to poke at, but it's not... It will automatically size. This is just fine. It will automatically size as you pull the stitches on your right needle out. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how to trap that float so that you have less of a big, long, loose strand hanging out, and it's easier to put your arm in your cuff without catching your fingers, or put the yoke over your head without catching your nose, because you can. And we'll do, I'll start from this point and we'll do one more pattern repeat.